Hello, boys and girls, and we are back again with another stream here on the Spotlight after Eric Ten Haag has been announced as the Man United manager going into next season. And I, for one, cannot believe it. you know, I've been here. If you've ever watched any of my other videos, you know how Eric Ten Hag out I was. Nothing against Ten Hag as a person, or not that he hadn't had problems to deal with at the club, but the on-pitch football, tactics and recruitment has been sackable. And I will just quickly reiterate that these things are still there and my mind is not changed. He needs to now prove to me over the next few months and up until Christmas that he's got what it takes without the added responsibility of everything else on top of him, that he can be the coach we thought he was when we got him in the first place. And can he change our style of football to something that is good to watch and sustainable and wins matches on a consistent basis up to Christmas? So with that, I don't want this to be a overly negative video. I still think Ten Hag is on trial. If I was Ineos, I would absolutely not be giving him a new contract. And I know that's a negative thing to start with, but he has got a year left and an option to extend for a year. We don't need to be jumping into a 2-3 year contract when we come 8th last season. Whatever people say about it, injuries, excuses, terrible tactics, recruitment, whatever, we need to draw a line under it now. And even I'm going to try and stop going on about all the failings of Ten Hag next season and try and look forward to the next season and where we can go from here. Now he's confirmed as manager, I want to try and be a bit positive about it, because probably for the whole of the last season and leading up to now under this review and everything has just been so tedious, negative and boring that we can now actually get on with talking about a few different things. But like I say, just quickly, he's not out of the woods for me. Up till Christmas, he has to prove that without the weight of the club on top of him, with the new structure in place, with help with transfers, help with the budget, he can focus on the football and he can bring something to the club we have not had now under Ten Hag's era, and that is good football. Because under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it was terrible, but at least we played semi-exciting football and we scored goals. The problem is we have with Ten Hag is the football is horrendous and then the results don't help either. Under Mourinho, you might win 1-0 in the football style, but at least you're winning. But under Ten Hag, we're losing and have terrible football. But anyway, I don't want to be too negative. Like I said, we are getting on about transfers here. And Ratcliffe on the BBC basically believes the manager should feed thoughts about recruitment to the wider leadership team, who take responsibility for the final decisions. So Wilcox Brailsford, Deputy Football Director Andy O'Boyle, and I guess Barada and Ashworth, when he eventually comes in, will all discuss options and come to a agreement together on who the best one is. As we know, and as if you watch a couple of my videos before, I went through Ten Hag's recruitment, not based on price, based on what they've done since they've been here. And I think his recruitment has been awful. But we're going forward, and this transfer window starts on Friday. I think most fans would agree, including myself. And I want to go back to my previous video a little bit where I said that people need to put a bit of respect on Ineos' name for, one, not leaking like a sieve, two, doing what they've done structure-wise. And I guess if you're one of the so-called majority that wanted Ten Hag, even though it took a bit too long, you've got to praise him a little bit for actually sticking with Ten Hag, haven't you? You can't say that they haven't done what people wanted them to do now. So you've got what you want. I'm going to go with it, back him, and I've never been against Ineos, really. I think they're doing what they need to do, taking the time to make the right decision, and let's hope this is the right decision. The next thing we need to do is talk about a clear out. Obviously, it looks like Greenwood's going. There's apparently an offer for 50 million for him coming in from Juventus. Go back and watch my take on Greenwood in the previous video. I'm not going to get into it now, but any money we get for Greenwood, he has to leave the club. 30 to 50 million, he should be gone. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Sancho is the next on the list, and the next one who absolutely should be gone for similar money, anything between 30 to 50 million. You've got to snap their hand off, take it, and run away with the money to reinvest. We need to obviously get rid of other players. Varane's obviously gone on high wages. Martial is gone on high wages. Everyone's almost certain Casemiro's gone on high wages. So it looks like Ineos are getting rid of the older, semi-injury prone talent that's on super mega money and has been hanging around the club for a while. I don't think we'll see the clear out people think that we were going to see. And I think I've said this before. I think the obvious ones will go. Varane, Casemiro, Martial, Brandon Williams. I don't think you're going to see the likes of Rashford, McTominay. Maguire probably won't go either, I don't think, because we're desperate for centre-backs. And answer me this one in the comments or the chat. Would you sell Lindelof or Maguire? Personally, based on last season, Lindelof, there's been question marks over him for a long time, and he was injured a lot last season. If you're going to sell one of them two, you've got to sell Lindelof. I think Johnny Evans has been offered a new contract, so he's staying. So what? You'd have Martinez, Maguire, Evans, Camberwala, and then we need to buy another centre-back. And, I mean, I said on my last video about Todibo, is he that good, or are we just all raving about him because everyone thinks it's an easy deal because he's from Nice and Jim owns Nice and he's not that expensive? I mean, let's not forget France have the best team in the Euros or the best squad and he's not even travelled. So what does that say about him? I don't know. I've not seen enough about Todibo really to make my mind up on it, but I'm not overly convinced he is exactly who we should be going for. I think everyone just thinks it's too obvious that we should get him because of where he's from and he's a so-called up-and-coming talent. And I mean, if he's 30 million quid or less, I think yes, but if you're looking at 50, you're pushing it a bit too far for me because he's from Nice. Nice have come nowhere really in the French league and he's not getting in the France squad. So let's not get carried away and be paying silly money on someone from League A because we all know what that'll end up being like. I mean, on other incomings, my opinion on Elise is, I mean, we're going to lose Sancho, obviously, but we've not had him. We're going to lose Greenwood, we're not had him. So you're losing two players there that we haven't had that are wingers. Probably going to get decent money in for him. What's Ten Hag's long-term plan with Rashford? Because towards the back end of the season, he obviously didn't really play him, but then he started him in the cup final. There's obviously Garnacho. There's Anthony. Do we need Elise? Really? In the grand scheme of things and positions we need to fill, we do not need to be spending 50, 60 million quid on Elise, especially with his injury record. If we're short of people for the right wing because one of a Garnacho or Anthony or whoever gets injured, Bruno can play out there. Mount could play out there. You know, it's not like we're absolutely desperate for a right winger. There's people who can do that if needs be. When we're super short at left back, we're super short at centre back, and we probably need two midfielders. Moving on to midfield, Casemiro's probably going to go, and Ericsson will probably go, you would think, wouldn't you? On a free somewhere now. He's not been playing under Ten Haag, has he, really, for the last few months of the season at least. Amrabat. I mean, would you keep Amrabat? I don't know. Based off the end of the season, you probably say yes if you can get Amrabat for 10 million, you just get him, because 10 million to us is nothing, is it? To me, is Amrabat a player we should be investing money in moving forward in our midfield if we want to be a stable top 4 team or potentially go for the biggest trophies? Absolutely not. But if you're losing Ericsson and Casemiro, it's only going to cost 10 mil to get Amrabat. He's a decent enough squad player, isn't he? Him and McTominay, to me, I put in the same bracket. They're both versatile, useful people to have in the squad, and I wouldn't say either of them are starters. So that's the midfield, really. And you know my opinions on Bruno. Personally, I think at 29 years old, after where we finished last season, if a team was going to be paying 50, 60, 70 million to take Bruno off our hands, we should take the money. It's what a ruthless team would do with a player that's that old. Yes, he's the captain. Yes, he loves the club. Yes, he works his arse off. Yes, his attitude's right. I'm not saying anything about dissing Bruno's attitude and his love for the club and all of that. But if we want to build a so-called style of play that we keep the ball more, he just cannot do it. The only way I would keep Bruno personally is if we play a false 9 all season, and it's never going to happen, is it? I mean, no team plays a false 9 unless you're Barcelona, basically. It's just not going to happen in the Premier League, playing a false 9 week in, week out in the Premier League. Maybe you could alternate it with Højlund if we didn't get a striker, because I think it's a tough market to get a striker, but we desperately need one. And there's all talk of, obviously Sesko said he's saying now there's that Xerxes. Jonathan David is every single transfer window. Everyone's saying get Jonathan David. I mean, he's not really done that much, has he, David? He's a player that looks all right in moments in a semi-decent side in other leagues. He just would not cut it up front for Man United, Jonathan David. Let's just forget it. He's just not good enough. Sesko might be all right, but then he's competition for Højlund, and you've got 2 young strikers. What do you do with that? Alternate them or what? I don't know. The striker one is so difficult. The same probably with Xerxes. I don't really know anything about Xerxes. I don't think he's even gone in the Dutch squad to the Euros, has he, Xerxes? From what I heard today. So again, you're buying another real young prospect who's not breaking into his international side when we've already got Højlund. And there was talk of now with people talking about Calvert-Lewin and people talking about Tony. Again, I would just stick with Tony personally. But I don't think we will get Tony because I don't think he'll want to come to us. I think he'll probably go to Chelsea, Arsenal, maybe Spurs. I can't see us getting Tony, although he is the one I would choose. Calvert-Lewin from Everton. I mean, I actually think he's good, Calvert-Lewin, but we cannot be getting rid of Martial and replacing him with Calvert-Lewin because they'll both be laid on a sun lounger together with some sort of injury all season. You know what I mean? You're just replacing one injury-prone player for another. Calvert-Lewin has proven over the last 3 or 4 seasons he cannot stay fit at all. So unless you're getting him for free or something ridiculous like 10 million, it's an absolute no. But what other striker options is there out there, really? Because I think we need an experienced striker. We don't need a striker that is another youth striker, because how can you develop 2 youth strikers at once? It just doesn't work, because you can't take what you can do, alternate them or put them both on together maybe, or you play one game, then there's no continuity. You can't have 2 young strikers. We need an experienced striker and Højlund. So yeah, that is what I would do transfer wise. What do I actually think will happen? I think, like I say, we'll get rid of obvious ones. I do not think we'll see Rashford, Maguire, McTominay go out the door. I think it will be the obvious ones. And I think coming in, clearly Ineos and the structure around them are the ones who are going to be dictating who is going to come into the club. And I think that's a good thing, because I don't think Erik Ten Haag on his own, his recruitment has been poor. So I think we will sign 3 or 4 players, and none of them will be massive names. We might get Elise for 50 or 60, and I think that'll be the biggest one. And I think we'll still spend money, 150 million or something, maybe. And I think we'll get a couple of players that people maybe haven't heard of, or people think like, oh, why would we want him? Like, for example, I always use Anthony Gordon as a perfect example of a transfer. If Man United had paid 40 million for Anthony Gordon, the fan base would have gone mad. Look at him. That is the epitome of a transfer we need to be making. Determined, quick, technically good, unselfish, works his absolute balls off for the team. He's the absolute opposite of what we currently have on our left wing. That's the kind of player we need to be going for. And I have massive praise for Anthony Gordon. I think he's quality. On to the Rashford topic. I don't think he'll be sold. Just absolutely no chance are Ineos selling Rashford. Not in the first year of them being there, when they've got so much other stuff to do. Personally, you all know, if you've ever watched any of my videos or streams before, I would sell Rashford with a click of a finger. He'd be gone. He'd be the first one on my list to get out the door. Because his form is like a yo-yo. Go look at his stats. I've been over them before on previous videos. His statistics are so inconsistent. It's unbelievable. And after what he's done last season with the whole Newport thing and going to Belfast, missing the game and whatever, and then saying sorry and Ten Hag letting him off, and then doing that stupid interview he did where he's saying, like, this me makes me stronger, and then people give him some criticism, then he's on Twitter moaning about abuse and all that lot. Whatever you think of Rashford, whether you think he's a quality player or not, I just don't think he has got it up there to win at the very top. Forget his technical ability. He's clearly too affected by off-pitch stuff to focus enough on being a proper top-end footballer. And I think the problem is, as not just Rashford, but a lot of United players of the recent eras, they've been brought in at a young age, super overhyped, given huge contracts and wages too early before they've actually proven that they're that good. And I've said it before, Rashford has got a status of Mbappe as a world-class player on huge money at one of the biggest clubs in the world, when the reality of it is, and this might sound harsh, he's no better than Jamie Vardy. What did Jamie Vardy do at Leicester for them years when Leicester won the Prem and the few years after that when they were competing? They played in a counter-attacking, high-line team, and Jamie Vardy's pace got him behind and he used to bag goals for fun. And that is what Marcus Rashford is without the work rate. And that's the biggest difference. Jamie Vardy worked his arse off. Rashford isn't technically good. His passing's not good. His dribbling isn't good. He runs into people all the time. What he's good at is getting in behind, and he's a good finisher, and he can strike a ball from outside the area now and again. But technically, in and around the penalty box, when we're under the cosh, we've got them pinned back under the cosh, he's just not got the technical ability to unlock anybody. If he ain't in behind, he ain't doing anything. And we all know defensively he does absolutely nothing. So that's my opinion on Rashford. Yeah, so I mean, that is that. Really, it's just a quickish live stream, get it out there, talk about it. And basically, just to draw a line under my Eric Ten Hag out. And that I'm not going back on anything I've said about him in his in my previous videos. Those records are there, they're factual, they're in black and white, they're obvious to see, and I still stand by the fact that people who wanted Eric Ten Hag in for this whole time, even when there's 5 or 6 managers available, want him in based on excuses, not based on on-pitch performance. And he needs to now prove, with the weight taken off his shoulder from everything else around the club, that he can now go on that training pitch and coach this team to play some decent football and win football matches. So, yeah, that is everything I've got to say on Ten Hag for now. Let me just have a quick look on the old interwebs, see if anything has happened while I've been on the old stream here. But it doesn't seem like anything has particularly happened. Let's get the old Twitter open. X, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so it just looks like just the usual drivel going on from the media, regurgitating the same old crap over and over again because they've got nothing else to talk about. So I'm going to leave it there. If anything else breaks, or I will get back on the live. Let's just have a look here. There's something about Den Ashworth trending. What's this? It's much or nothing, really. Newcastle still want 15 million for Ashworth. I mean, I think I've said it before. If Jim and Belsham know that, like, one Ashworth that bad and it's 15 million quid, just pay the money, because at the minute it's becoming a circus about holding out for him and his email controversy and all this lot. Just get him out of that contract and get him in the club. 15 million quid compared to what we've been spending on crap is nothing. If he's as good as people say he is, then that 15 million quid will be saved this summer in what we pay in transfers and sales. So just cough it up. I mean, they say we want to pay 3, they want to pay 15. Just bloody meet in the middle and play 8 or 9 million and get him out of there, get him in. Let's get on with the transfers, because at this moment in time, that is becoming the biggest farce going. Never mind the Ten Hag in out saga that we just had. That Dan Ashworth thing has got the... I don't know. I'd say it's going the way of comical farce that's going to end up in a nightmare if they don't sort this out quickly. And I'm not anti Dan Ashworth. I actually wanted him before we were linked to him, so I hope we do get him, and we should get him. But I just think pay the money, get him in the door, and let him get to work, and we'll reap the benefits of it by the end of the transfer window. So that is that. And I am now going to leave you all in peace for the evening, and I will see you on the next one. I'm just looking at some Ineos talk there. It's about Ten Haag getting a new contract. Ten Haag staying, Sancho's getting sold. Yeah, there's no new news. It's all the same news regurgitating through the media tonight. So I'm going to leave that one there, and I will see you on the next one. Like, favourite, subscribe. Tell me your opinions down below in the comments on anything you think about Ten Hag, the transfers, or Ineos. And I will see you another day. Poosh.